Hi, I'm Nancy Addison, and about 20 years ago, I had two small babies at home that I decided I was going to raise in the healthiest way possible. So I started reading everything I could get my hands on about food, health, and nutrition. I started making my own baby food. I also was about 30 pounds overweight from having two babies, one right after the other. So I started changing my recipes and adding more healthful ingredients. What I found out was the weight just fell off, and I felt better and I had more energy. And the acute anemia I had battled since I was 2 years old just disappeared. Then my pediatrician told me that my children were the healthiest children he had ever seen. I was so excited about my new lifestyle, and I want to share this easy, delicious information with you. So let's get healthy. Today we're going to make smoothies. I love smoothies. They're one of my favorite things that I make every single day. We're going to make a fruit-based smoothie, we're going to make a chocolate milk-based smoothie, and we're going to make a green smoothie. And you'll love it. So let me get cleaned up and I'll meet you in the kitchen in just a moment. I cannot tell you how many people have asked me how to clean fruits and vegetables. I think it's very important to clean all of your fruits and vegetables before you eat them. I use a bowl, this is the one I use, and I use hydrogen peroxide to clean my fruits and vegetables. I use food-grade hydrogen peroxide because it's stronger. And the reason I use it is because it kills parasites, and it also denatures any poisons used on non-organic fruits and vegetables. You can also use regular hydrogen peroxide, or you can also use apple cider vinegar. And apple cider vinegar, you use about a tablespoon per gallon, or about 1/4 of a cup for a sinkful of fruits and vegetables. It's just so important that your food is clean. Today we're going to make smoothies. I think smoothies are really important, and once my children told me they were not leaving the house without their smoothie. I made them every morning and I packed them full of nutrients. When we wake up in the morning, we're breaking a fast and our body is really empty. And so we want to fill it with something that's really nutritious because it's just going to be absorbed like a sponge. And it's what we're going to run on the rest of the day. So most smoothies are made out of raw ingredients. What is raw food? Raw food is living food. It has live enzymes in it, and it really feeds your body in a deep cellular level. So I've got my juicer here. It's all set up. It's really easy to do, and it just gives you really fresh juice. So we're going to just cut this apple up right here. Turn this on. And I'm just going to feed the whole thing in here. See how easy that was? We're now going to make our fruit-based smoothie, and it is one of my children's favorites. We're going to use our fresh apple juice that we just made, and I'm going to start with a cup, and you can add more if you need it. I usually start off slow and just add more if it's too thick. And I'm also going to add the pulp of the apple. I took it from our juicer. It has a lot of good fiber and nutrients, and the pectin in apple is really good for your system and your intestines. So I'm going to add it to our smoothie. All right, next we're going to add about 1/4 cup of pomegranate seeds. And they are frozen, and they make your smoothie a little colder, and they are so high in antioxidants. And I just keep a big bag of it in my freezer, and I use about 1/4 cup every day in my smoothie. So I'm going to add those. And next I'm going to add a cup of really nice dark sweet cherries. And these are frozen as well. And when companies freeze their food, it's usually 2 or 3 hours after they're picked. So sometimes the frozen food is actually more nutrient dense than the food that's in the grocery store that's fresh. So I'm going to add the frozen cherries, and all of these cold frozen things make your smoothie colder. Now we're going to add our chia seeds, and chia seeds are one of the most nutrient foods on the planet. It was said that the Aztec warriors could live a whole 24 hours on 1 teaspoon. They are packed with omega-3s and omega-6s, and you do not have to grind them up in order for your body to utilize this, which is what you have to do with flax seeds. So we're going to add 1 teaspoon of the chia seeds to our smoothie. I make chia pudding. What I do is I take a little of the chia seeds, I put them in a bowl with some water, and I usually leave them in the refrigerator overnight. I actually mix berries with it with a little honey and make a little pudding out of it. Next we're going to add our banana, and bananas are really delicious and full of potassium, and they make your smoothie really creamy. I like to peel them and freeze them, and it makes them really cold, and then when you add it to your smoothie, it makes it colder without making it watery. I wrap them in parchment paper and then foil. I don't want the foil to touch my food because they've connected aluminum with things like Alzheimer's. So first I wrap my banana in my parchment paper and then the foil. So we're going to add our banana. Next, we're going to add coconut oil. Yes, we're going to add fat to our smoothie, and I'll tell you why. Coconut oil is unique. It is really great for mental clarity, and it really helps with your metabolism, and it really gives your liver some fuel. And unlike caffeine, this will sustain you for hours without any kind of addiction. I use about 1 tablespoon a day, and when I put it in my smoothie, it's a great way to have it, and I know I get it in my system. Believe it or not, having really good fats in your diet is critical for really good brain health. And the last thing we're going to do, and it's optional, is we're going to add some really great green food powder. Most kids just don't get enough greens, and I would put this in my kids' smoothie and they wouldn't even know it. So they were getting their greens and they were enjoying it. All right, we're ready to mix our smoothie. This is one of my favorites. You can always add a teaspoon or a tablespoon of yogurt if you want it a little creamier, or some ice if you want it a little colder. I love it. Now we're going to make our milk-based smoothie. I think these are really creamy and delicious. You can get oat milk, rice milk, hemp milk, soy milk. I particularly like the almond milk, and I think it's really good for you. So we're going to add 2 cups of our almond milk. And next we're going to add a tablespoon of almond butter. And this just complements that. and gives it a rich, creamy flavor. Gives it a little body too. Now we're going to add our banana. Got to have that potassium. And to go with the banana, I love chocolate. And I love to have chocolate in the morning. Most people I know love chocolate. Wouldn't you like to have it every day without any guilt? Actually, the cacao bean is what chocolate is made of, and it is the #1 antioxidant food in the world and one of the leading ways to get magnesium into your diet. Oh, it is so healthy that you can have it in the cacao nibs or the cacao powder. Notice this has a really dark purple color. It's actually a little bitter. So most of the chocolate you get probably has a lot of added sugar to it, which is what makes it unhealthy. When you have it in this really pure form, it is probably one of the healthiest things you will ever have. And you can have it every morning. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of the cacao powder to our smoothie. Okay, you can have your chocolate every day guilt-free. Isn't that great news? And because it's a little bit bitter, I always add 3 dates to this. And the dates have wonderful nutrients in them, a lot of vitamin B and fiber. And what I do is I take them and I soak them overnight in a little water, and it makes them soft, and so they blend up really easily. For people who are diabetic or are watching their glycemic index, if you want to do something besides the dates, you can do something like stevia, which I think is really the best alternative. Stevia has no calories, it's actually good for your pancreas, and it's really just a plant that happens to be really, really sweet. Next, we're going to add some protein powder just to give it a punch for the day. There are all kinds of different protein powders. There's whey protein, which is a dairy, and then there's the mystery protein, which is usually taken from rendering plants, that it could be the leftovers of the animals, and it would be like the hair and the hooves, and I don't think your body utilizes that the way you would think it does. And then there's this kind of protein, which I get, which is a raw organic protein made from sprouted seeds, nuts, and grains. And this one has about 30 ingredients in it, and they're all organic and raw, meaning they are living enzymes. So we're going to use a nice big scoop in here. And of course, we're going to add our coconut oil, which I make sure I get at least a tablespoon of every single day. And it's always in my smoothie. And when you add things like coconut oil to your food, even your smoothie, it gives it a much more satisfying flavor and makes it taste a lot richer. Sometimes when people say they're craving protein, they're actually craving fat. Their brain is calling out for fat. So put in your good coconut oil. And I'm also going to add just a little bit of flaxseed oil. I like to have a variety of fats in my system, and so I always do different oils with different things. So I'm going to add just a teaspoon of flaxseed oil to go in this as well. And I think that is our smoothie, and we're ready to mix. This is a delicious smoothie. You'll think you're having dessert for breakfast. This is a chocolate lover's delight. Okay, now we're going to do a green smoothie, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I've never tried a drink that is green before. Well, when I was in New York going to nutrition school, there was a contest with the nutritional students on who made the best green smoothie. Most health professionals drink green smoothies, and many of their clients, people who are battling cancer or diabetes, they become green smoothie fans. Cucumbers are one of my favorite vegetables, and I put in almost all my green smoothies. I find them very hydrating, and they're very cooling, and they're great for your skin. Okay, so we're going to put our cucumber in for our green smoothie, and then as the liquid, we're going to use coconut water. Coconut water is actually one of the most hydrating liquids you can drink. It has natural electrolytes, so I love using it instead of water. But of course you can always use water if that's all you have. Then as our next ingredient, we're going to use spinach. Spinach has a lot of iron and it actually tastes very good. And I bet you didn't know, 45% of spinach is protein. Now we're going to add a few sticks of celery. I love celery. I love the flavor, and I put it in most of my things. It's just the chlorophyll, and it's very hydrating. We're also going to add half a juice of lemon. There's something about having a lot of greens and having some lemon. It makes the flavor really good. I like to use this funny little device that helps me squeeze it out. And we just add about half a lemon. And the spinach is high in iron, and with some fresh vitamin C with it, it helps our bodies utilize the iron a whole lot better. And since we all want to be Aztec warriors, I'm of course going to add my teaspoon of chia seeds so that we have that all-day sustenance. Now we're ready for our green smoothie. Okay. This is really delicious. Now if you want it a little sweeter, you can add some fruit like an apple or a pear, but I like it this way. Isn't it beautiful? And it's delicious, and your body will love you for it. Let's get healthy! And always remember, the main ingredient is always love. Thank you for joining me on the show today. I hope you enjoy the recipes, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Let's Get Healthy with Nancy Addison.